What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here, and welcome to our daily show where we discuss the fourth stimulus check update, the two new upcoming stimulus package and infrastructure package, as well as what is going on in the world today. The CDC is under a lot of criticism, and they're having to clarify several of their different points where they've just updated their mask guidance, where they say that people who have become fully vaccinated do not need to wear masks indoors or outdoors, but they wanted to re-clarify that this does not count for schools, as well the vast majority of people, school children, are not fully vaccinated, are not expected to be for a while. And the school mandate for masks and social distancing will stay in effect for quite a while. And there's also a lot of controversy going over right now as well. How do you know who's fully vaccinated? Are we going to see a push to have vaccine identification shown to say that, okay, you don't have to wear a mask? Because if the guidance says people who are fully vaccinated do not need to wear a mask, how do you know who's fully vaccinated? And that is kind of the fight right now going on between Republicans and Democrats. As you know, mostly, and this is a general term, Democrats are more for masks and more social distancing. Republicans are for less masks and more freedom. And again, that's general. That does not cover everybody, but that's kind of a general like overview. Again, everybody can have different opinions, but that is kind of the battle going on right now in Congress. In fact, here is Republican Senator Rand Paul with a very interesting opinion. Listen in.
You mentioned that this is a migration of policy in short order from the CDC, and it's become sport to dunk on the CDC, of course. This is a setup to playing for you a fellow physician, loosely put. He's an eye doctor turned senator. Here is Rand Paul tonight on Fox News.
There's not a shred of truth to any of the self-mitigation, distancing, all the things they've told us. None of them is there any evidence that any of it has worked to mitigate. The only thing that has slowed down the virus has been the vaccine and natural immunity.
So, doctor, turns out staying home, staying away from people, wearing a mask, if we had just listened to him, we could have done without that the whole time.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad I didn't listen to him. I'm glad I had a number of people around me in my community that didn't listen to him, and many Americans who didn't. In fact, the only reason we did not see the cases that we could have seen were because of measures like putting in mask mandates, encouraging people to stay at home. And frankly, Brian, we talked at the beginning of this pandemic during the Trump administration at how much they fought those mitigation measures and did not put any of that into place or give guidance to schools, businesses, et cetera. So I think simply put, obviously the vaccines are incredibly effective, more effective than distance or some of the other things that we've done. It doesn't mean that those things did not have measurable effect. We've seen that in studies with facial masks. We've seen it in studies with air quality, by the way. So I want to emphasize the CDC acknowledging that this is an airborne virus was not overnight. It was an accumulating body of evidence. And that's why telling people to go outdoors and having that safety of being outdoors where you don't need masks is incredibly important, even for vaccinated people and unvaccinated people.
In fact, the CDC is actually under a lot of criticism that they may have released these new less restrictive mask guidance because of political pressure and people pushing them to say, if you're vaccinated, you shouldn't need a mask if the vaccine works. So there's been a lot of pressure on the CDC saying, well, if the vaccine works, why would vaccinated people have to wear masks? But now the greater issue becomes, well, if you go into an area, let's say you go to a sporting event and you see 1,000 people without a mask, how do you know if they all have their vaccine or not? And even furthermore, you have people that really just don't want to wear masks to begin with. So, I mean, it's pretty probable that we're going to see a lot of people who aren't vaccinated not wear masks. And I mean, I understand everybody has their own point of view on the masks and everybody has their own opinion. A lot of people don't want to wear them. But on the other hand, we also don't want to go into a full-blown shutdown again, and we don't want to go back to the case. I mean, we had 300,000 positive cases in one day just a few months ago in January. So On one hand, I understand everybody has their own opinion, but on the other hand, I don't want to go back to being closed down. I mean, literally, Canada just had a 30-day shutdown last month for the virus, like a complete lockdown. So, yeah, I mean, it's really not that far away in the distant past. Next up, we're seeing a lot of kind of inflation on the, dare I say, grocery store level for buying food. According to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, overall prices have risen by 2.6% per year for grocery items and food items. However, we're seeing a lot of products be way, way more than increase of price of only 2.6%. According to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, compared to last March, coffee is now an average of $4.67 per pound, up by 8%. Eggs are up by 7%, bacon and bread are both up by 11%, and chicken is up by 10%. I've also seen recent statistics for beef is up over 10% as well, including actually the majority of meats that you might buy at the grocery store. Companies like Procter and Gamble say they're raising prices too on items such as Pampers, Tampax, and Always, and even Coca-Cola will be more expensive for the first time in 3 years. The reasons for this is number one, higher production costs. Number two, and again, we're going to talk about this here in a second. This also includes labor, as the new labor debate on the $15 an hour minimum wage is really, really raising the price on a lot of different goods and services. In addition to this, trucking companies are short on drivers because of the pandemic, so it costs more for goods to get from place to place. And dare we even say the gas pipeline hacking that we had, which literally made about 10 different states run out of gas. Don't forget that as well. Also, the pandemic disrupted the entire global supply chain. When things are scarce, they usually wind up costing more, which would be the reason for the sudden increase in gas prices, as well as home prices and lumber prices, and as well as computer graphic cards and chips. There's a global chip shortage as well, computer chips. When you talk about things like the home shortage, I mean, homes are literally going up for sale and selling like within 24 hours for over asking price. And there's many cities where there's literally only like one or two homes for sale. And if you don't make a bid on it within the first 24 to 48 hours, you literally can't buy a house. So the whole bargain shopping thing is kind of out the window right now of the pandemic. A lot of people don't want to list their home for sale because of uncertainty of the pandemic, uncertainty of their job, of the future. They're not sure what's going to happen in the near future. And that has made a lot less people go to list their homes. Although now it's kind of changing because now there's such a shortage of homes that they literally sell it like that because there's just not enough homes for sale to go around. And that has increased the prices of homes dramatically. And the same thing can be said for lumber. I've seen a recent statistic that if your average cost to build a deck was $1,000 last year, it's now $5,000. Yeah, 5 times more. That's a 500% increase. And yeah, the price of lumber has just skyrocketed because of supply and demand. And it also makes you kind of wonder with multiple different companies recently, Walmart, Chipotle, and Amazon all implementing a $15 an hour minimum wage or an average wage of $15, where some people could be more, some people could be less. How much does that end up contributing to the rising price of cost of goods? Chipotle, the food company. If you don't have Chipotle in your state, I'm sorry for you because it's absolutely amazing, amazing food. If you like food that's semi-spicy, it's really good. And they don't have any freezers or anything, so literally all their food is fresh. They only have refrigerators. But they actually admitted that they're going to have to raise prices because they're going to be implementing a $15 an hour minimum wage, which I think their current wage was $13 for the before this, and they're going to be raising it by almost 20%. So they're going to have to raise the price of food, the price of their goods that they sell. And I mean, it's economics 101. If you have to pay more for labor, 20% more, you're going to have to raise prices to accommodate for it, or you're just going to take a 20% hit to your profit, which I don't think there will be any major companies that will do that. It'll send their stock plummeting instantly if they had a 20% drop of their profit. That's just kind of the way economics work. It's just the way of the world. And I think that that is going to be one of the rising costs to inflation, is that a lot of people are demanding more money to go to work. We're seeing the push for a $15 an hour minimum wage in Congress, and rightfully so. I mean, the minimum wage hasn't been raised in like 20 years, and it's $7.25 in 40% of the United States. But the question is if we raise it too much too quickly, that'll send inflation for a lot of these places that are going to have to. Some places are going to literally have to pay double the wages they were paying. They go from 7.25 to $15 over the course of a couple years. That's literally double. Okay, so it's good for the people that work there because they're going to make double the amount they used to make, which is amazing. That's Imagine going to your boss right now and say, "Hey, can you double my salary? Can you double my pay?" They'd probably look at you like you're crazy. But yet, that is what they're pushing for in Congress, is to make the minimum wage up to $15 an hour. And because of this, we've seen a lot of large corporations say, they are willing to do and have actually implemented $15 an hour minimum wage. And it's raising the cost of goods. It really doesn't have anything to do with the stimulus check per se, or the national budget or anything like that. It's really kind of just supply and demand. We're seeing a lot of workers do not want to go back to work right now for $7.25. um, Even if they're on unemployment, especially if they're getting that $300 per week bonus, which I think around 20 different Republican governors are now getting rid of because apparently they have the choice, although they're offering back to work bonuses, a lot of these states, of $1,000 to $2,000. Now, this actually could give, there's a couple different Social Security boosts here that we're going to talk about. The first one is that the 2022 increase to Social Security for the inflation that's based on the CPI, the Consumer Price Index, is likely to be the highest raise in years based on inflation or the Consumer Price Index. And it's looking like the raise to Social Security for 2022, and again, this is just the first one. We'll get to the next one here in a second. The cost of living adjustment, COLA adjustment, is likely to be 3 or 4%, which will be the largest in quite a while. And a 4% increase would be basically, if you make $1,000 per month on Social Security, that would be a $40 per month increase, which is not terrible. If you look at that over the course of 12 months, that's $480 extra, or we'll round up to $500, an extra $500. That's not bad, especially comparing some of the past years where we've only seen a 1% increase. This could be as high as a 4% increase, which would be a little bit extra in your pocket, which would not be terrible. As I said, literally 4 times more than if it was 1% increase, which we've seen in the past. In fact, President Biden is being urged, in addition to passing a fourth stimulus check and a monthly stimulus check in this next package, in addition to the fourth stimulus check, he's also being urged to include Social Security increases in this next stimulus package, the American Families Plan. White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki said in a recent interview question if there will be a fourth stimulus check, and she basically said it is entirely up to Congress if they want to put that in this next stimulus package. Well, that's actually good news because we have 2 different bills from Congress for a fourth stimulus check, and more support by the week to include a fourth stimulus check in this next package, the American Families Plan. The first bill from the U.S. House of Representatives, co-sponsored by Democrats Rashida Tlaib and Democrat Jayapal, is for a one-time $2,000 stimulus check, then followed by $1,000 monthly recurring payments that would go until 1 year after the pandemic is declared over. The other bill that has really become very popular in recent weeks is for a $2,000 monthly stimulus check per month until the pandemic is declared over. So probably 6 months, maybe could be a little bit more, could be a little bit less. This is co-sponsored by Senator Ed Markey and Elizabeth Warren. And in fact, we have a petition that calls for, we have over 2.1 million signatures saying yes, we want them to include a $2,000 per month stimulus payment to help out not only Americans, but also the American economy. In fact, this petition is now over 2.2 million signatures and counting. In addition to this, President Biden is being urged to include these Social Security increases in this package or the next package, as yes, Democrats are already talking about another stimulus package after this next one, the American Families Plan. There is three different bills to increase Social Security. Number one is the bill from last year that is now from Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, Senator Elizabeth Warren, and Ron Wyden have unveiled a plan to increase benefits by $200 per month for all Social Security beneficiaries. The plan is to provide more than 60 million Americans on Social Security with an additional $4,000 over 2 years, and is part of the Senate Democrats' bold Phase 3 stimulus proposal. Again, a $200 per month increase for all Social Security beneficiaries. We also have a new recent plan that came out just a few weeks ago. Is pretty recent, for an increase of SSI to increase it to the federal poverty level. SSI beneficiaries currently get up to $794 per month only, and has not been increased for many, many years, besides the slight cost of living index increases. They want to increase that to up to the federal poverty level, which would be an increase of $279 per month. That is actually a 35% increase, which would be amazing. I mean, when you talk about like your average employer, you might get an increase on a yearly average wage of 2, maybe 3%, maybe if you're lucky 4% would be really, really good, right? This would be a 35% increase, which would be actually amazing. This could end up going over to the SSDI program as well as SSI. However, President Biden himself has proposed an increase or a reform to the Social Security program, that some changes could come this year. In fact, as you can see here, if successful, big changes to fix the program could secure his presidential legacy, one expert says. Under this plan, eligible workers would get a guaranteed minimum benefit equal to at least 125% of the federal poverty level, which I did the calculation, and it comes out to a minimum benefit for anybody on Social Security of $1,341 per month. Every single month would be the absolute minimum that you would get if you're on Social Security. That would be a drastic raise for many, many millions of Americans. And if we see that in this next package or the package after that, where they try to do this through a standalone bill, it would be absolutely amazing news for millions and millions of seniors and maybe even other people that are on the Social Security programs. In addition to this, people who have received benefits for at least 20 years would get a 5% increase, and widows and widowers would receive about 20% more per month. To pay for these higher benefits, President Biden would apply a Social Security payroll tax to those making over $400,000 and up. In 2021, workers generally pay 6.2% taxes, a Social Security tax, on up to $142,800 of wages. Earnings between that amount and $400,000 would not be subject to the Social Security tax, but anybody making over $400,000 would then pay that 6.2% tax on money earned over $400,000. This money would go directly to pay for these Social Security increases, and is one of the several different ways to pay for this. Also, the big Medicare and possible Social Security increases can be paid for, Senator Bernie Sanders says, simply by forcing pharmaceutical companies to give the United States prescription drugs at the same price that they give it to other countries for. And they can do that through a law, and they can pass that law in one of these next stimulus packages. So let me know your thoughts. I will keep you up to date on everything stimulus related. The fourth stimulus check, Social Security increases, Medicare increases, the free college and 2 years of free preschool that they're likely going to put in this next package, as well as the monthly stimulus checks and the child tax credits, which are monthly stimulus checks of $250 to $300 per month and are going to start in July. Yes, those are already passed for 1 year. So I'll keep you up to date on all stimulus items. If you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe down below and join our family of subscribers. It's completely free to do so. After subscribing, click the bell icon to all notifications to get reminder notifications when we go live, which is every day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Don't miss any episodes because you won't want to miss an episode that might pertain to you and your family. You can click this video here to watch my newest stimulus check video next. And this video teaches you how to start your own business selling products on Amazon FBA. Amazon has their own platform called Amazon FBA where they do all the shipping and selling for you. And I teach people how to replace their 9-to-5 income doing that. Click on one of those videos next. Thanks, guys, and I will see you in the next video.